For almost a year, a five-star out-of-state lineman that has been considered a near lock to Ohio State will be giving Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide the last word on his recruiting journey. Wait, where have I heard that before? What is up, Buckeye Nation? This is Florida Cory, co-host of the Scarlet N Great podcast, right here on YouTube, Ohio State Football with Scarlet N Great. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, please. That helps the channel when we'll continue to bring you free Buckeye content as much as humanly possible, a show for the fans, by the fans. And if you like the audio version of the podcast, catch the audio version every weekend, Scarlet N Great Empire on any podcast streaming service of your choice. Well, we are here to discuss the latest in the recruitment of five-star defensive end from the state of Washington, JT Tuimoloau. JT Tuimoloau. JT Tuimoloau. JT Tuimoloau. I give up. Forget it. We are here to discuss the recruitment of JT Tuimoloau. Oh, I think I did it that time. Five-star defensive end from the state of Washington. He has set his visit dates. He's going to Washington, June 4th through the 6th. USC, June 14th through the 16th. Ohio State, June 18th through the 20th. Oregon, June 20th through the 22nd. Bama, June 25th to the 27th. A couple things about that came to mind right away, right? Bama having the last visit is obviously a concern. It's Nick freaking Saban with the last word. Need I say more? Oh, man. As I've said at the opening of the podcast, where have I heard this before? Look, I wish it were some scrub team we didn't have to worry about, but it's Nick Saban, and it is what it is, and he gets the last word. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, just a little bit here in a second. But the second point I want to bring up is, I really don't like the dates for Ohio State and Oregon being so close together. Ohio State being June 18th to the 20th, and Oregon being the 20th through the 22nd. I mean, I get it. I'm probably overthinking it. You leave in the morning of the 20th or whatever, noon or so, and you get to Oregon probably a couple hours later. So it's just overlap there. I get it, but he's right back to Alabama in a few days after that, right? So that's a pretty hectic schedule. I mean, it's a lot to think about and process in the time that you're there. And then when you're at Ohio State, what are you doing? You're thinking, okay, well, I got to leave by this time. I mean, you're the June 19th. You're instead of taking everything in, you're it's in the back of your mind. I got to do this, I got to do that to get to my flight and make sure I'm not, missing on Oregon. And there's been some smoke around the Ducks and JT lately, so. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that, but again, I might just be overthinking that a little bit. I'll admit that. And I asked around about this recruitment. I haven't really talked about it much publicly or anything like that on the podcast or on Twitter or whatever, but I've asked, I have a pretty good, I think fairly clued in friend, who I asked this person for months now. I was like, cause you keep hearing the rumors coming out that, he's looking elsewhere. JTT looking elsewhere. He's looking elsewhere. And I just kept going to this person and saying, "What do you hear anything different?" And he goes, "No, I think this guy's going to Ohio State." Okay, you know more than I do. But I asked this person again today after the the Bama getting the last visit. Of course, freaked everybody out, as rightfully so, as I brought it up. And what this person had told me had to tell me was OSU is actually very confident in their place with JTT. Can I say JT, or you're going to have JT Barrett flashbacks if I keep saying that? And they felt like for a very long time they have felt good where they're at with him. They just, because of COVID protocol, weren't able to visit, but obviously having Bama at the end, is making them rightfully a little nervous. I mean, they're obviously what they're doing is they're aiming to set expectations extremely high, and they're probably going to try to talk him out of visiting anywhere else after their visit. I mean, without offending him, of course, they're probably going to try to get some kind of get a feeler where he's at. That's probably pretty obvious, but I can imagine Ohio State has not been known to be a school to discourage visiting necessarily. From everything we hear from the guys who know far more than I do, the Berms of the world, Ohio State's actually somebody who usually encourages visit. I just think that maybe this time when they have Bama on the tail end there, they might have a bit of a different tune, especially when they've built such a relationship with this kid over for how long now. And I do agree with my friend here that comparing this to J.C. Latham is inaccurate because there's a lot of that going on right now. Uh, During Latham's recruitment, his best relationship was with the Bama staff. His family had the best relationship with the Bama staff, and COVID protocol at the time really restricted his ability to visit as well with Ohio State. So where JTT is different is that his best relationship actually is with Larry Johnson. And I'm going to add this. I've defended Coach Stud in the past, but let make no mistake. I'm not that naive here to where, and I'm preaching to the choir here for all those who are watching this. Coach Stud is obviously no Coach Johnson when it comes to recruiting. Obviously, we have a little bit more faith in Coach Johnson. But, my opinion is this. I would like to tell you that this is a lock, but it's not. And I don't think there is such a thing as a lock in recruiting, to be honest with you, anyway. Um, I think we lead and we're in a good spot, but it's Nick Saban. And I like that G. Scott Jr., his former high school teammate at Eastside Catholic in Washington, is a Buckeye. That's obviously helpful, and maybe his father will speak on our behalf as well. But it's Nick Saban, and Larry Johnson's resume speaks for itself. It does, but Nick Saban has something of a resume himself. And I'm going to be honest, I could sit here all day and I could argue all day for Ohio State. It's not that hard. We don't just put many D linemen in the NFL. We take 5-star talents and make them into top 3 draft picks. And I know some people would argue, well, that's easy. But no, it's really not, because many 5-star talents in high school are just better athletes and they're bigger than the other guy. They don't have to use skill necessarily to get what they want. Larry Johnson doesn't just take great athletes and let them be athletes. He actually teaches them the skills they need to make it further. Not only to have a great college career, but to have a great NFL career as well. And by the way, we've also taken guys who are 3-star afterthoughts and made them NFL players. Devon Hamilton's a great example of that. That guy was an afterthought in the recruiting class that he came in. I think it was 2015, if I recall correctly. He became a monster on the D-line for us, and now he's playing for the Jaguars. Larry Johnson's put a ton of people in the NFL. So is the other guy. But, you listen to guys like Kevin Noon and other insiders, and these are good people that know more than I do. If you ask them about this kid, JTT, he's a very deliberate and well thought out kid who has handled his recruiting process with class and dignity. He's been really well thought out, really strategic. He's gone over everything. He's very mature. And obviously, that would favor us, you'd think, because of the relationship we have built with him for so long. And with all the defensive linemen Larry is developed, he can lay out a plan specific to each kid as well as anyone in the business. And not only can he lay out a plan and tell you what his plan is, he has a proven track record of executing said plan to make that player realize his wildest dreams. But it's Nick Saban. I don't know. For all of you guys out there who've been following this kid's recruiting for well over a year now and have been hopeful he's going to be a Buckeye, I don't even know where to go with this one. I'm not even making a prediction until after the visits and you hear because Jay Book on Twitter made the good point. And he said when he gets to Bama, it's going to be basically a week after he was at Ohio State. It will be the second visit after Ohio State. The glow might have worn off a little bit by then. So you just don't know. You just don't know. It's Nick Saban with the last word, despite all the positives Ohio State can bring. So for all of you guys who've been following his recruitment for well over a year, all I can say is buckle up. It's going to be a rough month for a lot of people's heart health. you know, further if you want a healthy heart and you're that involved in watching recruiting, especially in a COVID laden year, I would say pick up another hobby, because this is going to be very, very difficult for many people who hang on the every movement and word of these kids where they go to school. So buckle up, folks. But we appreciate you tuning in. We'll try to keep this as updated as we can as we go, along with everybody else. As always, guys, goodbye. God bless, and go Bucks.